I had always believed that old age brought peace, the kind that felt earned after a lifetime of building, providing, and protecting. But lying there in my own living room, stitched up from open-heart surgery, I realized peace was something you fought for, even from the people you loved most. My chest still felt tight, not from the incisions, but from the weight of betrayal that lingered in the air thicker than pain. Before we continue, thank you so much for your support. Every like, comment, and view means the world to us. We're on a mission to reach our first 1,000 subscribers, and we'd love for you to be part of that journey. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and let's grow together. Now, let's proceed. I had returned home 2 days ago, barely able to lift a spoon without wincing. The surgeon had warned me to avoid stress and take it easy. But stress was exactly what met me at the front door. My daughter, Jenna, and her husband, Reggie, had moved in under the noble pretense of helping me recover. I believed them. Foolishly. I had always believed Jenna, ever since she was a little girl holding my hand tightly at playgrounds, promising she'd never leave my side. What a cruel joke memory can be. I'd made my money the hard way. Construction, land flipping, real estate investment when the market was barely breathing. There were nights in my 40s when I skipped dinner so I could pay payroll and still tuck my daughter into bed like everything was fine. I didn't come from wealth. I built it. Every brick, every zero in my bank account had a story, and I thought I was building something not just for me, but for my legacy, for Jenna, for her family. But now, that same legacy had become the target. Not a blessing. No, a prize to be hunted. The moment it hit me wasn't when I caught them snooping. It wasn't when I saw the strange transactions on my credit card or noticed my bank passwords had been reset for security. No, the moment that broke me was when I asked Jenna, softly, barely audible through the painkillers, if she could hand me my water. She was already walking away, and I thought maybe she hadn't heard me. But she stopped, turned, and said something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. "We are not your servants, Dad," she snapped, loud enough to echo through the hallway. "You're not dying. You can get up." Her husband didn't flinch. He just smirked and grabbed a drink from my fridge, like I wasn't even there. And I just lay there, quiet, humiliated, and stunned. The same man I paid tuition fees for when he was too broke to finish his master's degree now strutted around my home like he was owed something. My own daughter, whom I'd held when she had nightmares, was now the nightmare I hadn't seen coming. I swallowed the lump in my throat and told myself it was just the medication clouding things. But the truth was finally blinking red in front of me. I was being used, not cared for, not respected. Used, like an ATM with a heartbeat. That night, I pretended to sleep early. My door creaked slightly, and I heard whispers. Laughter, actually. Jenna's voice and Reggie's deeper tone. Something about, once he signs off, it's all ours anyway. I couldn't quite make out everything, but the pieces were falling into place. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. They were planning something. My safe, which I once showed Jenna the code to in case of emergency, had been tampered with. I noticed the keypad showed recent activity, and I hadn't touched it in weeks. I tried not to panic. I reminded myself that paranoia wouldn't solve anything. I needed clarity. Proof. And that came sooner than I expected, from the one person in the house who still saw me as more than a walking checkbook. Around midnight, I felt a small hand tug on my fingers. I opened my eyes slowly. It was Lily, my 10-year-old granddaughter. Her face was pale, her eyes anxious, like she was carrying a secret too heavy for her small heart. She leaned in close, her voice barely a whisper. "Grandpa, tonight my parents are going to take away your fortune." My heart stopped. "They were talking in the kitchen," she continued. "Mommy said once you're asleep, they'll open your safe and take the papers." I sat up slightly, ignoring the jolt of pain in my ribs. "Are you sure, sweetheart?" She nodded, tears threatening to fall. I didn't know who else to tell. I pulled her into a gentle hug, hiding my trembling hands behind her small back. She had no idea what she'd just done, saved me, and maybe even saved herself. I kissed her forehead and told her to go back to bed, to act like nothing happened. "Let Grandpa handle it now," I whispered. As she disappeared down the hall, I sat there in silence, the air thick with the betrayal I could no longer ignore. I wasn't just recovering from surgery anymore. I was now preparing for war. I opened my phone and tapped into my hidden home security app. I had installed the system years ago, never really needing it, until now. Every room, every hallway, even the study had a camera, and I had full access. I reviewed the footage from the past week, and what I saw nearly made me sick. Jenna rifling through my desk, Reggie trying to open the safe, conversations where they casually spoke about selling off properties, moving to the coast, and living like royalty. I had seen enough. They thought I was weak. They thought I was fading. But they forgot. I'm the man who built everything they were trying to steal. And I was about to remind them. I spent the rest of the night watching them move through my house like ghosts with dirty hands, touching what wasn't theirs, whispering plans they were too arrogant to hide. It was almost poetic. The very home I built, the walls I painted, the carpets I walked barefoot across with Jenna when she was still a child, all of it now echoed with betrayal. But I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to confront them like a mad old man yelling into the wind. No. I was going to let them think they had already won, because in their false victory, they'd revealed just how far they were willing to fall. By 6 a.m., I was seated on the patio, robe around my shoulders, coffee in hand, breathing in the morning air like I hadn't been ambushed the night before. Jenna walked past with her usual fake smile, acting like she hadn't plotted my financial demise just a few hours ago. "Morning, Dad. You slept okay?" she asked, feigning sweetness. "Like a baby," I replied, sipping my coffee. "You and Reggie were up late." Her eyes twitched, but she quickly forced a chuckle. "We were just watching a movie." I smiled. Thought I heard some plotting, but maybe it was just the TV. She didn't answer. She knew something was off, but she didn't know how much I knew. My first call that morning was to Roger Klein, my lawyer for over 30 years. The man knew every detail of my life. He was also one of the few people I could still trust. I explained everything. The betrayal, the theft plans, Lily's warning, the safe, the footage. Roger didn't say much at first, just sighed and muttered. I always had a strange feeling about Reggie. Then he asked me to prepare 3 things by noon: a signed update to my will, a notarized statement of mental and physical competence, and full copies of the security recordings. "We're not just going to protect your fortune," he said. "We're going to leave them with nothing. Not even a way to crawl back." At 9 a.m., I called another man, Patrick, a private security expert I had hired during the early days of my real estate ventures. His team specialized in quiet evictions, safe removals, and home transitions. "It's time," I told him. "I want them out before sundown tomorrow." He chuckled. "Just say the word, sir. We'll handle it all." I gave him the word. By noon, the trap was set. I'd rewritten my will completely, removing Jenna and Reggie from every single trust, inheritance clause, and financial document. Instead, I created a new trust in Lily's name. Every asset, house, stocks, cash, even my antique car collection, was moved under that trust with a caveat. She wouldn't have access until she turned 25, and it would be managed in the meantime by an orphanage I'd supported for years. They were the only ones who had shown me pure love and gratitude. Unlike the wolves in my own bloodline, I also changed the contents of my safe. I knew they'd try again, so I replaced everything with forged drafts of old wills, one naming Jenna the sole heir, another with blank signature pages, another with outdated property lists, all convincing at a glance, all useless in court, and all labeled as final and signed. I even included a fake power of attorney authorizing Reggie to control my finances in case of mental decline. I wanted them to believe they had hit the jackpot. Then I waited. That night, just after 1 a.m., I lay in bed pretending to sleep. My chest throbbed, but not from surgery. From rage. From heartbreak. From the cold realization that the daughter I raised could become this thing. This unrecognizable figure who saw me as a wallet with a pulse. I watched the live security feed from my phone. Jenna entered the study first, holding a flashlight and a phone for scanning documents. Reggie followed, gloves on his hands like a cheap crime show villain. They didn't speak much this time, just grinned, opened the safe using the code I had never changed, and began pulling out files. There it is, Jenna whispered, holding up the fake will with trembling hands. He actually signed it. Can you believe it? Reggie kissed her cheek. We're rich, baby. We're finally free. I recorded every second. Their laughter, their excitement, their eagerness to take everything I had spent a lifetime building. Then I turned off the feed, placed my phone on the table, and went to sleep. Because by morning, they'd wake up in a different world. The smell of toast drifted through the air, laced with the quiet clinks of plates and silverware being arranged like nothing had happened. I sat at the head of the table, back straight, hands calm on the wooden arms of the chair I'd claimed decades ago when this house still felt like home. Jenna moved around the kitchen wearing that same mask of daughterly devotion, her voice high and sweet as she offered me orange juice. I watched her pour it, her hands steady, but her eyes dancing with something else, greed, pride, the thrill of what she thought she had gotten away with. Reggie strolled in behind her, humming to himself, kissing her neck with a cocky grin. They thought they had won, and I let them think so, just a little longer. We sat down. Lily entered last, clutching her little notebook, her eyes bouncing nervously between us. I gave her a soft nod, which she returned, then took her seat beside me. She didn't eat, just watched. So, Jenna began as she cut into her eggs. Have you given more thought to that paperwork we discussed? She glanced at Reggie, who raised his eyebrows as if prompting me to deliver the reward for their heist. It's just that, with your health and everything, it might be wise to start transferring control of some of the properties. Just in case. I placed my fork down and looked at her. Not angrily, not with rage, but with disappointment so cold it made the room feel colder than the air conditioning ever could. I've given it a lot of thought, I said quietly. She leaned in, already excited. And I've decided to make the change. Her eyes lit up. Seriously? That's great, Dad. I mean, we were just worried about you, that's all. It's good to know you trust us with all that responsibility. I tilted my head. Responsibility, yes, but not you. The room froze. Lily sat perfectly still. Jenna blinked. What? I said I made the change, but not in your favor. I reached into the side drawer of the cabinet and placed 3 items on the table: a flash drive, a large sealed envelope, and a folder with my lawyer's letterhead. Reggie stood halfway. What's this? Proof, I said calmly. Proof that the two of you entered my study at 2:13 a.m. last night, using a passcode stolen from my drawer, and removed legal documents with intent to forge and defraud. And more importantly, proof that I knew and let you. Jenna's face went from pink to ash in seconds. You're joking. I tapped the flash drive. Security footage. Audio. Your voices, loud and clear. You can't use that in court. Reggie snapped. That's illegal. I leaned in. It's not for court. It's for you, to understand that I'm not the fool you thought I was. You walked into a trap, and you set the rope around your own necks. Jenna reached for the envelope and opened it with shaking hands. She began reading the letter inside, her lips moving but no sound escaping. It was a copy of the final amendment to my will, the one drafted by Roger just yesterday. She wasn't in it. Neither was Reggie. Lily, however, had her name on every page. You gave everything to her? Jenna gasped, stunned. No, I replied. Everything has been moved into a charitable trust that supports orphans. Lily is the sole beneficiary of that trust once she turns 25. Until then, she lives under my guardianship, and yours is legally terminated as of this morning. You no longer have rights to her decisions, her school, or her name. Reggie knocked his chair over, standing up. You can't do this. I already did, I said, standing too. Slowly, because of the stitches in my chest, but proudly. And one more thing. Patrick and two uniformed private officers entered the room, holding legal eviction papers. You'll leave this house by noon. Everything in your room will be boxed and shipped to an address of your choice, if you even have one. Your names have been removed from my accounts. The vehicles you drive are no longer yours. Your keys have been disabled. This isn't just eviction, it's erasure. Jenna burst into tears. Dad? Please, please. I repeated. You said I wasn't dying fast enough. You called me a burden. You robbed me in my sleep. You planned to strip me of everything I ever worked for. But you forgot one thing. She looked up, mascara running. What? I taught you how to read. But you never learned to understand value. You thought fortune meant money. It never did. It meant legacy, and you were never worthy of it. Lily stood beside me and slipped her hand into mine. Come on, Grandpa, she said gently. Let's go. We walked out of the dining room together, leaving Jenna crumpled on the floor, sobbing, and Reggie shouting threats that would hold no weight now. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Epilogue. A legacy rewritten. It's been 6 months since that morning. Lily and I live in a quieter home now, one surrounded by trees, where birds sing louder than traffic and no one raises their voice at the dinner table. She's healing. So am I. I've started donating parts of my estate to programs that help children like her, innocent souls caught between selfish parents and a world that doesn't care enough. Sometimes she asks about Jenna. I just tell her some people choose gold over love and end up losing both. She nods like she understands. Maybe one day she truly will. And on nights when the wind feels heavy, I hold her a little closer and whisper, "Thank you for saving me." Because she did. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Your support means the world to us.